open source your identity before AI eats it. So, we're going to do a fantastic session. Let's move from systems and security to something far more personal. Technology shapes so much around us. But what happens when it starts shaping us? Do you all think ChatGPT is shaping us in many ways? Yes, hands up. Yeah, I would love to have a conversation on how it's shaping us, but we'll do that another day. So I feel it's shaping our choices, our patterns, and our identity itself at times, right? So the next talk invites us to pause and look inward for a moment. To do this, we have a software engineer at Uber India building resilient, large scale in data infrastructure. Over 3 years contributing to the system behind Uber's core platform, she is passionate about mentorship and creative, inclusive spaces where it's okay to grow, learn, and have everything figured out. She believes strongly in making tech welcoming and accessible to every voice, and that's why she's with us today. Please welcome her with a huge round of applause. Radhika Patwari. Radhika, welcome to the stage.
Hello, everyone. Am I audible? Thank you, Kavita, for that introduction. So, let's start with this. Um, I'm a motivational speaker who loves morning jogs. That sounds funny, right? That's not what I am saying. It was said by an AI tool which I used recently to summarize my LinkedIn profile. And it was weird, right? Because I never jog. If I'm jogging, it might be because something is chasing me. Okay? So that made me wonder why it happened. And I looked into that profile and I saw that it had some old project, some college project of 2019 that said, um, I built a fitness tracker app as part of this course. And so AI picked up that, right? And it thought like, hey, this woman performs marathon at sunrise, and she's a motivational speaker too. So this is what, right? Jokes aside, we are today living in a world where invisible algorithms decide what the world sees about you. So whose stories rise and whose disappear into the field, right? Um, Not sure that, oh, now it's good. So that's why we are here, to understand why this is happening. Because your digital identity is not a profile anymore. It's your personality, it's your credibility. And sometimes, for persons like me, it's your only proof of existence in the tech ecosystem. So here we are in this talk. So this talk is all about to reclaim your space in tomorrow's tech and understand why it is important to open source your identity before AI eats it. So before we dwell into the slides, I just want to iterate like I'm not a motivational speaker who love morning jogs. And so let me quickly introduce myself. I think Kavita already had, but just let me quickly tell. So I am a software engineer with Uber Real-Time Analytics platform here in Bangalore. And it's a great privilege to be here at Grace Hopper Celebration India 2025. And I'm deeply grateful to both Uber and GHCI team for this incredible opportunity. So let's start with something I call the algorithmic black hole. So every day, invisible algorithms quietly decide what the world sees about you. So it's no more about the intent or the effort you put in the post. It's about those systems which thinks which post will get more user engagement. It's about those posts which tries to promote what's already popular, right? And somewhere on the way, your authentic work and voice, it gets filtered, flattened, and lost in feeds. So it's sometimes burdened under those trending noises, right? What we call, whatever is going in trends nowadays. And this is what I call the black hole, a space where your digital identity risks being swallowed. And do you know what's more scary than this? This doesn't happen loudly. You will never receive a notification saying your visibility just dropped by 70%. It happens silently, invisibly, and algorithmically. But it matters. At least it matters to me, because now my work, my voice depends on these algorithmic choices. So let's start with something I call how AI shapes your identity. So let's deep dive into these systems which quietly decide and manipulates, influences what the world sees about you. So algorithms nowadays are like the gatekeepers of visibility, right? They decide whose stories pop up in your feed, whose doesn't, right? So we have seen so many posts getting viral, and sometimes posts like for me, it doesn't even have zero reach. So all these things sometimes make us wonder why this has happened. And it is possible, right? Because two people who have put the same amount of effort in their post, they have put the same amount of talent, same amount of time, it is possible that both of them get different levels of visibility depending on who their audience is and how their audience is engaging with their post, right? Because it depends how their audiences are reacting to the post, commenting on the post, and depending on that, the search engines decide. We'll dwell into that, like how actually the search engine works. But yeah, for now, so there was actually a study conducted which said that around top 1% creators receive 80% of all the views. And this is something called selective surfacing, which is just the beginning. So you can also check out the source. I'm not sure it's appearing in pink right now, but you can check out this. It's a good research paper. You can check it out on Google Scholar or anywhere on internet. And the curious part is AI doesn't only decide what we see, but also how we see it. So we all have used internet, and we see this AI mode nowadays, right? Which tries to summarize all the websites, give a short list of what all things you have. So it summarizes those public information, it tries to flatten the nuances. But the problem comes when the AI patterns or the probabilities doesn't align with my real self. If you ask it to summarize a profile information, maybe on LinkedIn or anywhere, it will try to summarize it. But for example, for the first example that I shared, right, it might distort your authenticity as well. So in 2025, a comparative study was conducted for around 5,000 AI summaries against their original papers, and it was found that around 73% of those summaries actually misinterpreted or overgeneralized the findings. So these kind of things may happen, and believe me, like if you are truly relying on AI summaries, you are just rolling a dice on accuracy. So this reshaping doesn't just influence us, but it influences the entire tech ecosystem. So I remember like some years back when I was in college, the recruiters or anyone, like if they want to discover you, how they would go, like they would check out your profile, they would check out your website, go to your portfolio, and there they check your work experience. But I don't think anyone nowadays check your website or personal portfolio profiles. So people, in order to meet you, interview you, collaborate with you, use a new identity. And that's what they are using nowadays to identify you. So this is what we call search, feed, and chatbots. So I think all of you have already must be using, and these terms are quite familiar nowadays. So search ranks you in the feeds, and feeds try to prioritize you, and the chatbots summarize you. So this is how people identify you and get to know you. But the problem comes when these filters have biases or incomplete or outdated information, because that can impact the world's perception about you. And actually, based on an industry and academic recommendation dominance, it was found that around 70% of your YouTube views actually come from algorithmic recommendations, and they are not based on your search. So if you're checking out some topic in your YouTube profile or anywhere, you will see the top maybe 30% actually relate to your search, but those 70% might just be based on something which is going popular, based on some reels which are going viral. And the problem here is AI models, they are trained on real data. And real data does have biases. So sometimes underrepresented groups like women, like us, minorities, or even the early career creators, they might feel that their posts are being less visible, not because of the quality of their work, but it's because the system, the AI models, have learned to deprioritize them based on some patterns, based on the real data. And the other problem is opacity. So opacity comes in, opacity, it's like opaque here. So when those algorithms try to summarize you, try to profile you, sometimes you might not be part of their recommendations, and that often impact your post reactions, and you might feel like nobody's nowadays watching my post, nobody's reacting to them, nobody's commenting on them. And that happens quietly. That might be happening because your post does not surface on other profiles anymore. So this makes us realize that our visibility, your visibility, is now a product of what the algorithm learns and not exactly who you are. So it's nowadays a reflection of what you put on your profiles. It may be a LinkedIn profile, a GitHub profile, or Instagram, Twitter, any social media profile. So when the system misrepresents you, it's not a glitch, it's a technical identical gap. So the gap comes because the AI summaries that rewrite your profile might not align with your real self, and you start sounding like someone else. The creator's content get buried by algorithmic biases, and underrepresented voices often fade from professional feeds, leading to fewer impressions and fewer opportunities. So this visibility and credibility drop is what leads to this quiet digital eraser. So you don't get cancelled, you just stop surfacing in other people's feeds. So what should you do now, right? Like, I have also given it a lot of thought when that first AI identity makeover happened with me. And I tried to deep dive, right? Like, I tried to gather stats, why this is happening. And again, the question was like, what should I do about it, right? That's the first thing that comes to any of our mind. And I have some ideas around that. Like, one of them is open sourcing your identity. So I have always been an admirer of open source projects, and I somehow feel that our digital identity is like an open source project. We'll come to that. But when I say open source your identity, I basically mean being intentional about how you show up online and not rely on algorithms alone. So be transparent, publish your work, ideas, learnings. Even if it's a small win, right? You can publish it. People tend to reach out to you, learn about the things, and they will definitely learn from your failures as well. The other thing is be authentic. I hope the last letter is visible, but yeah, share your voices before AI imitates it. So I have seen that the posts which have this messy drafts, people like those, right? So you don't have to be like polished every time. You don't have to use AI generated words every time. It's okay to have imperfect posts. It's people want to hear your real story in your words, in your real voice. And this leads to resilience. Own your data, own your digital presence, own what you are, and try to build your profile based on that. So when I last said your identity is like an open source project, so this is actually a GitHub README. I just want to check like how many people here know already about GitHub repositories. Oh, almost all of them. Just in case if people don't know, a repository is like a storage location of all the files. You can store your documents, images, videos, sound recordings and all of these there. And GitHub allows you to maintain the commit history of whatever changes you are making in that repository. So this is a repository which I have named as like evolving digital self, to indicate that your digital identity is like a repository that you are responsible for maintaining. No one else. No one cares about it. Even AI, it will try to summarize, and believe me, AI is what I have found, it's a terrible author. Okay? So be the maintainer of your own identity repository. So when I say that your digital identity is like an open source project, can you relate to the last three principles that I just talked about before? So your open source project is transparent. You see whatever changes you are making in the commit timeline. At the same time, you will be able to see who is making those changes, right? That's about authenticity. And it's resilient also, because whatever changes you are making, you are able to track the timelines, you are able to track the visibility settings of your repositories, and at the same time, you have all the control over your project. So just like an open source project, your digital identity is public, it's versioned, community-driven, and definitely self-evolving. So when you start open sourcing your identity, you might find it difficult to be consistent about it. And that's where the 3C mindset comes in. So first of all, curate. Choose what reflects you. Be intentional about what represents you online. So not everything has to be public, but whatever is shared should actually align with who you want to be known as. Secondly, create. As we have already talked about, right? Write your messy drafts, write your messy post, and let people hear you in your real voice. And definitely own your own narrative and digital presence. So all these things together help build up your internal ecosystem, your mindset. Now, let's also talk about the external ecosystem, the digital identity loop that starts with you. So why does it start with you? Because you are the one who puts your data in the LinkedIn profiles or any social media platforms, right? I have just added the emojis for LinkedIn and the GitHub here, but definitely all other social medias like Twitter, Insta, you are responsible for posting your photos there, adding your achievements there, adding your certifications, adding your work experience, right? So all these data together build up your profile. And these public platforms, they rely on these data for training their AI models. And the AI model asks, who are you? What do you do? And for what you should be recommended. And based on this, it tries to recommend you to multiple audiences. So audiences here can be recruiters, collaborators, your peers, strangers, anyone there can be, right? But based on this, the audience interact with you. They like your post, they comment on your post, and sometimes they will also send you a follow request, connection request on Insta, LinkedIn, whatever, right? So this is the way of for the audience to interact with you, and this basically acts as a signal that flows back as a feedback in this identity loop. And definitely, your visibility grows when you own your own feedback loop. So we have almost come to the end of the presentation. And one most important takeaway that I would suggest all of you to take with you today is your identity is your open source project. Maintain it with care. Like a repository, your identity needs to be maintained, updated, cleaned up, and at the same time documented. So this is what will allow you to stay visible. This will allow you to remain authentic, and this will allow you to stay unbound. So I hope you leave today being committed to being the maintainer of your own story. So I don't know how much time we have.
We don't really have time.
Okay.
So-
I think you guys are getting late for lunch also. So thank you so much, all of you. And please feel free to connect with me over LinkedIn for any questions, queries, or help. Thank you so much.
How was her session? I mean, did you all learn something about what you're doing wrong? I certainly did. I need to consult you a lot more.
Oh,
I think, when ChatGPT and all these places throw out your profiles, sometimes they make it so unreal.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's so real. So which one do you believe? I've forgotten who I am myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like that,
To be honest, I have started writing my profile by myself
I
and
think that's
stopped using ChatGPT for that. But yeah, you can definitely learn a lot of new words, vocabulary is there, try to frame yourself. But I have always felt like writing your own profile using that. You can always use ChatGPT as a tool, but don't rely on it as an author.
I think
is
more
what I
for
would
grammar and punctuation and paragraphs.
Yeah, you can definitely use those because nobody likes to go back and check out the
Yes.
grammar, vocabulary, all those things, right?
So you were a little nervous coming here today, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel now?
Yeah, I think much better now. I think we had a very good audience. Everyone was listening to me, so I felt a lot more confident here.
Look at your team. They're so proud of you.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for supporting me.
She
and
looks
yeah.
like a pro, right? Seasoned speaker. So you need to do more of this because what you're talking about really is something that is needed today in the world because we use so much of AI, not thinking twice about what it is giving us. So thank you so much for this session today. So proud of you, Radhika, and we should keep talking and talking more.
Definitely.
Thank
Thank you so much, Kavita. Thank you for all the support.
Absolutely.
Kavita to give away a small memento for such a fantastic session. Thank you so much, Radhika. It was so good to hear you.
Thank you so much.